Hi, I'm Josanne Wright Callender, and I'm the author of the Happy Little Garbage Truck picture book and educational program. The educational program works within the area of literacy and social skills. And these last couple of weeks, what I thought it would be a really great thing to kind of piggyback on the research that I've been doing and have placed in my educational program is to talk about some of the tools that will help parents and teachers develop social stories. And in that research, I'm surprised to find out this one tool called social autopsies is just truly effective. In the last week, I believe when we were talking about social stories, I mentioned that it would be great to start with your descriptive, which is the first part of writing the social story based on Carol Gray's structure, is to take the issue that you're working with to teach you're working towards teaching your child apart and find out how can you break this down into some of the basic steps so that you can actually create a social story. Well, social autopsies are truly effective in that area of looking at what is the challenge and how to come up with a constructive plan so that your child can understand how to carry on and do better the next time. Well, it was Rick Lavoie that had developed this plan. He came up with, I guess, the strategy with Joseph Camp and Jeff Bieber, I believe. In the research, these three names kept coming up, but it was Rick Lavoie's idea. And he was a 30-year veteran in teaching on the East Coast and also an administrator. And he did this awesome piece, which I found on the internet in my research, called The Last One Picked, First One Picked On. And that just struck a chord in me as a teacher, because I know a lot of times when our children don't have the necessary social skills to interact with their peers in an fully included environment, it can cause friction. So I would highly recommend to check out Mr. Lavoie's lecture, and it's on YouTube, and I'll include the link in the description box. But in talking about social autopsies, he defined it as a social autopsy is the examination and inspection of a social error to discover the cause of the error, determine the damage, and prevent it from occurring again. And that's what we're all about. We want to have a child learn from their errors and not be beaten down or discouraged by the errors. And that's one thing he made a very big point on, that all social faux pas and mistakes are teachable moments. And so there are basically four different parts. You have to identify the error, determine who was harmed by the error, decide how to correct the error, and finally, develop a plan so that this doesn't happen again. And we all know that it will reoccur, but every time this reoccurs, you redefine and create a tighter plan. And you use that experience the child has gone through to bring them back to the plan and say, okay, what could you have done? What happened? Basically, you don't answer the question for the child. You let the child think through it, and then you could even go through your plans, the list of type uh, ideas that you've already created, to see if you could find out with the child what might have happened. And then when you break these um, events down to bite-sized pieces, it's much easier to show the child where they might have gone off track in that particular social event. And so um, it takes practice, it takes immediate feedback and instruction instead of punishment. It's a teachable moment. And then also, one thing I thought about in the instructional part of it is it's something that you can always get positive reinforcement for once you've instructed the child. And Mr. Lavoie brought up the point that even when the child does something really well or does something great, that's also a social autopsy moment. It's not just for problems or to break something down that went awry. You could also say, well, why do you think your teacher said that was a wonderful thing you did? Why did your teacher give you your happy face for today? You break it down and show them that their behavior was the cause of the effect of getting the positive reinforcement. And so with the social autopsy, you can use it, everybody can use it in your child's life. Your relatives, teach them how to use it so that the child gets all of this positive feedback throughout their day to correct some of the common mistakes that they may be making. So tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the tips that I found from this wonderful video by Mr. Lavoie. And the basic one was how to teach your child to be friendly and what are friendly behaviors, because every child wants to have a friend. And sometimes, well, we've talked about being redirected so that mistakes won't happen again. But what can they do? What are the positives? And so we'll talk about that tomorrow. Until then, thank you for tuning in, and I'll put some of the details of the video in the description box. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you.